I moved into my new apartment, thinking it would be a fresh start. New city, new job, new life. But a few days later, I found something that made my stomach drop. And the scariest part? It didn't look scary at all. It looked completely normal. The apartment was small but clean. Nothing fancy, but it felt safe. I remember standing in the doorway for a moment, just looking around. I kept thinking, this is good. This can work. The building manager was friendly. The neighbors didn't talk much, but they seemed normal. Everything felt quiet, predictable, the kind of place where nothing ever happens. So when I noticed the first small sign, I told myself it was nothing. It was late at night. I was in bed, scrolling on my phone, lights off, room quiet. That's when I noticed it in the corner of the room. A tiny green light, flickering, not steady, not normal. At first I told myself it had to be my charger. You know how some adapters have those little indicators. So I rolled over and tried to ignore it. But a few minutes later, it flickered again. And this time, it felt different, like it was reacting, like it knew I was awake. I stared at the ceiling, trying to convince myself I was being dramatic. Then I finally got up and walked toward it, and the second I moved, the light stopped. That's when my stomach tightened, because that didn't feel random. The next day, I started noticing other small things. My Wi-Fi was acting weird, slower than usual for no reason. It would lag, then suddenly go back to normal. At first, I blamed the building, thick walls, too many apartments, but it kept happening at the same time every night. Around 1 or 2 in the morning. And once, while I was making coffee, I heard a soft click. Not loud, not dramatic, just a small electronic click, like a device turning on. I stood completely still for a second, listening. Then, it happened again. Another click. I walked into the bedroom and just stared at the outlet near the bed, like it was going to explain itself. I tried to convince myself it was old wiring, old outlets, anything, because the alternative didn't make sense. But then I noticed something else. The adapter wasn't mine. I realized I had never unpacked a charger like that. I didn't even own a block that looked like it. A couple days later, I was cleaning the bedroom. And I saw it again. That same adapter, plugged into the outlet near the bed. It looked completely normal. Just a basic USB charging block, white plastic, no brand name. But this time, I didn't look away. Something about it felt wrong, like it didn't belong there. And the worst part is, I couldn't explain why. So I decided to test it. I waited until night. I don't know why, but I didn't want to do it in daylight. Something about testing it in the dark felt more honest, so I turned off the lights, closed the curtains, and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at that outlet. Then I remembered something I'd seen online once, a trick people use to find hidden cameras, because some cameras use infrared light, and phone cameras can sometimes see it, even if your eyes can't. I told myself it was ridiculous, but I opened my camera anyway and pointed it toward the outlet. At first, nothing. I moved the phone closer, still nothing. And then, a small purple glow appeared on my screen, right where the adapter was. I froze. I pulled the phone away. The glow disappeared. I moved it back. The glow returned instantly. My heart started racing. Because chargers don't do that. Not normal ones. I remember whispering, okay, maybe it's some weird indicator. So I unplugged it. And the glow vanished completely. I plugged it back in, and the purple light came back immediately. That's when I felt cold, like the room got smaller, like the air got heavier. Because deep down, I already knew what it was. I picked up the adapter and brought it close to my face. It still looked normal, still looked harmless, but now I couldn't unsee that purple glow. So I started looking for anything unusual. I turned it over in my hands, And that's when I saw it. A tiny pinhole. So small, you'd miss it if you weren't looking for it. A perfect little circle, facing directly toward the bed. I didn't breathe for a second. I just stood there, holding it, like it had suddenly become something alive. Then I walked into the bathroom, locked the door, and sat down on the floor. I searched it online. At first I typed USB adapter blinking light, then adapter purple light camera, then hidden camera charger. And the results made my hands shake. Hidden camera charger, USB spy camera, bedroom surveillance adapter. I clicked through images. Some of them looked identical, same shape, same size, same exact pinhole. That's when the reality hit me. This wasn't paranoia. This wasn't stress. This was real. I sat there in the bathroom, staring at my screen, and suddenly everything in the apartment felt different. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was watching, and the worst thought of all finally landed in my head. How long had it been there? I couldn't stop thinking about it. Was it left by a previous tenant? Did the manager know? Or was someone still watching right now? So I opened my Wi-Fi settings and checked connected devices. I expected to see my phone, my laptop, maybe the smart TV. Instead, there was something else. A device labeled IP_cam with a random string of numbers. I stared at it for a long time. Then I refreshed the list. It was still there. I refreshed again. Still there. That's when my body went cold, because it meant the camera wasn't just hidden. It was active, connected, possibly streaming. I turned on airplane mode so fast my hands hurt. Then I started packing a bag. Not neatly, not calmly, just grabbing essentials like my brain was screaming, "Get out now!" I didn't stay in that apartment that night. I went to a 24-hour cafe, called a friend, and just sat there watching the door like I was waiting for something terrible to happen. Then I called the non-emergency police line. The officer sounded calm, like they'd heard this before. They told me not to touch anything else, not to unplug random devices, and to come in the next morning to file a report. That was the first moment I felt like I wasn't crazy. I ended up leaving that apartment, I changed my passwords, reset my phone, and I bought a cheap camera detector. But what stayed with me wasn't fear. It was the realization that danger doesn't always look dangerous. Sometimes it looks like a $5 charger block, and sometimes it's already in the room, before you even move in. The next morning, I went back with a friend. I didn't go in alone. The apartment looked the same, but it didn't feel the same. Every outlet felt suspicious. Every little object felt like it could be something else. I filed the report. I emailed the building manager. And I asked one simple question. How many people had lived there before me? I never got a clear answer. But I learned something from all of it. If something feels off, don't talk yourself out of it, because sometimes the danger isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet. And sometimes it's already plugged in.